Hey everyone, what's up? So this is Phil and I'm Jack to talk today to my friend Christy Lamagna. Now, Phil, here's the thing. If you've always been thinking about doing an event and you're like, well, okay, I can just throw out an event. Well, Christy's going to say, no, that's not very smart. In fact, she will tell you that being strategic with your events is the best way to do this. Now, Christy's the founder of and the Master Strategist at Strategic Meeting and Events. It's an international award-winning strategic planning firm. She's a very smart human. She's a lifelong learner, an intellectual philanthropist, and get this, she's got a new book coming out. Now, if we didn't have enough cred there with Christy, she also has been in Forbes, Fast Company, Entrepreneur, and featured in American Express Open, UPS Store videos, and lots of other cool stuff. And I am just delighted that she's here today to share some strategy around meetings in advance of her new book. So how you doing, Christy?
I'm good. You forgot my most important qualification, Phil, and I'm a little disappointed.
Oh my gosh, the fact that you're wonderful? What did I miss?
The fact that you are my friend and that I know you is one of the things I am happiest about. So, and that is so true. So
thank you. Well, the feeling is absolutely mutual, and that's why we're doing this in advance of the book launch, because I really think it's important that folks get ready, because this is, I think this is a game changer for the events industry. So, Christy, you got to tell me though, I saw on your website like 24 years of event planning. So you started when you're 11 or 12?
Exactly. It started 27 years ago.
Holy crap, 27 years?
27 years. 27 years. Yeah, I am a lover of words and reading and books. And I thought that I was going to be in public relations or in journalism, and ended up out of college. I had a degree in communications and mass media and ended up working for a hospital, and I was their PR coordinator. And the way it worked was you would have to create an event in order to have something to write about. So I created healthcare screenings and flu shot clinics, and I realized that I liked planning the events just a little bit more than I liked writing about them. So the hospital was having a layoff. I was just out of college. I took advantage of the fact that my rent was $500 a month. I didn't have kids. So I said yes to the layoff, got my master's degree, and then from there went into events, went to work for a publishing company, and said, I want to do events, but I want to do them in the publishing field so I can do both things. And I ended up working for an incubator company that launched 3 new magazines as part of a larger organization's publishing company. So I did trade shows and events for what became 3 different publications. So I pivoted. So now instead of being a writer who plans events, I'm a planner who writes. So I get to do both things I love.
Wow, that's awesome. A lot of the event planners and event professionals that I talk to have trouble with the marketing side. And it's great. Mm-hmm. That's likely why you're as successful as you are, because you understand that, well, yes, an event is important. It really is a strategic undertaking, right? It is something that takes time. So talk to us about that, because you said, without an event, there's no news, basically. Right. And without the news, frankly, nobody comes to your darn event. So what comes first, or is it simultaneous?
It's a great question. So one of the things that I say all the time, and that I think people don't realize, including I go to large marketing conferences, CMO conferences, to learn. And I've heard some of the best marketers in the world talk about marketing, and they never include events in their marketing, as in terms of what, here are marketing opportunities. And what I will say is events are the most powerful form of marketing. Events are the only 3-dimensional embodiment of a company's marketing message. Everything else is a flat medium. So you can pay George Clooney, handsome as he is, to wear your watch, but it's still a flat medium. I can text you and we can do things on social media, flat medium. Events are the only 3-dimensional embodiment of a marketing message. It is the most powerful tool a company has for marketing, but they don't look at it that way. When you think about events and sales coming together, you also need marketing. You look at it 3 legs of a stool. So events are meant to shorten sales cycles, accelerate sales cycles, and help companies achieve their goals. So by taking a marketing message and making it live and giving customers an opportunity, or internal audiences an opportunity to experience content, you increase sales, you meet business objectives, you bring marketing messages to life, and events are the quintessential tool for both sales and marketing.
Wow.
And most of us in the industry today, because we don't know any better, when someone comes to a planner and says, we need to plan a sales meeting, they say, okay, when? Where do you want to have it? How many people are coming? How much money? And we go straight to logistics. Logistics have nothing to do with goals. Logistics have nothing to do with sales. Logistics have nothing to do with marketing. Logistics are tactical. And the industry was born from a need all of a sudden to create meetings, and some very brave people jumped in and said, okay, I'll figure this out. And the industry evolved because some really brave, smart women and some men said, I'll figure this out. And they barely had time to get the work done, much less to think about, do we want to create a strategy or a mission statement, or, what direction will this industry go? And there wasn't an industry. So even when I started 27 years ago and said, I want to plan your events, the publisher said, do we need that? You do. So he said, you can do marketing, and if events happen, you can do those too. But the industry still 27 years ago wasn't recognized fully. And I would say that now, because we have all done such a good job of putting out fires, no one has taught us, and we are not looking at why we don't get the respect that we think we deserve. But it's because you have two options in a business. You can either help a company make money or help a company spend money. And we all know that the people who make money are the rock stars. We spend money. So, because we don't know any better. So the book talks about, if you become the most powerful marketing tool and an incredible sales agent, then you change sides and you get a seat at the table, because who sits at the table? It's the people who make the money. And I am going to be, as a strategist, the best ally that sales and marketing has. So by changing events from logistics to strategy and saying, if you say to me, I want to plan, I need you to plan a sales meeting, my first question to you is, what's the goal? As it relates to the company's strategic goals. Your company every year says, here are the 3 things we need to accomplish. Events should be specifically designed to meet those goals. And we don't look at them that way. So if you change it, all of a sudden everything changes. And we just have never been taught to think like that. And most of us are too busy to pick up our heads and say, oh, there's a better way. We also don't have the ability to articulate our worth, and we're frustrated because we work so hard and we can't figure out why it's not working. But it's almost like being on the grapefruit diet. I'm doing this, I'm doing everything they say, and I'm not losing weight because we're following rules that don't actually get the results that we want. And we're subscribing to a notion that if we keep doing what we've always been doing, but doing it harder and complaining louder, it'll work. Events right now are spend. The event budget dollars are considered expenditures. If you plan strategically, events become investments. So if I say to you, Phil, do you want to spend $500,000 or do you want to invest $500,000? If I can work with a planner, I'm going to spend $500,000. I work with a strategist, I'm going to invest $500,000. Who do you want to work with? So it changes everything. So it's really exciting, and I'm very happy to be sharing it.
Wow, that's really awesome. Well, Jill Kernicki's tuned in. She says, setting goals for the group you're creating an event for. Who'd have thunk it? That's brilliant, right? Glad I tuned in. So we're glad you're here, Jill. And Christy, that is so different, though. That's so different than what most people think. But yeah, it is simple. So let's kind of start at the beginning there, right? Let's start at the beginning. What would a good goal be? Or like, let's say I'm at an insurance agency and I sell insurance to doctors and lawyers and other kind of B2B type insurance. What would, and I want to host a quarterly event, what would a good goal for one of those events be? And how do we get started thinking about that?
It's a great question. So what happens is, companies traditionally, so if you think about it, your CEO, your CFO, all your executives have milestones that they need to hit. Sales need to go up by 10%. We need to increase market share by 15%. We need to slow down churn, which is, the loss of customers, by 5%. So it's usually about reducing spend, increasing market share, reducing attrition. So the company is going to set those goals. They have a strategic plan. The challenge is there's this divide between the goals that they have and the event team, because we're not high enough up to necessarily hear those goals. So to answer your question, what I do is most of us have event calendars. So if you come into my office and you say, Christy, can I see your event calendar? Here's everywhere I'm going to be for the entire year. We create master event objective calendars so that it doesn't just say, here's the event. It says, what objective are we going to hit, and what goals does this align to in the strategic plan? So for those events, I would say quarterly, if we're dealing with insurance people and finance people, we're probably looking to increase sales and pick up a bigger section of the market. So that's not necessarily going to be about reducing spend. That may be for an all hands meeting or a training meeting. So I would say in those instances, our goal is to increase revenue by 15%. So we are going to create an event that is going to, here's the key, influence what our attendees, be they internal or external, are feeling, thinking, saying, and doing when they leave. And we do that by not guessing so you had said to me, well, how do you start? And again, logistically, we feel like we need to figure it all out. Everything exists. So the strategic plan, the executives know what their goals are. We need to get them. And our attendees, be they internal or external, know what they want. And we sit here and try and figure out, well, I wonder what Phil wants for dinner. Why don't I call Phil? Phil will tell me, and then I don't have to guess. So if you say to your attendees, because a big part of the strategic planning process is, if I'm having these meetings every quarter for these financial and insurance professionals, let me ask them, what do you need to hear, to learn, to be trained on that will make this event worth you going? Because all human behavior is built around the answer to one question. Every single thing we do answer is because of one question. And the question is, what's in it for me? So if I'm going to give you $10,000, even though you're getting the $10,000, I did it because it made me happy. It also happens to make you very happy, but I did it because it makes me happy. And I could have either given you a different amount of money or given the money to anyone, but that is exactly what I wanted to do. So when you think about an event and you think about attendance, especially with an external audience, you have to be the answer to what's in it for me, because if your event is not the most compelling thing for that person to do at that exact moment, at that exact day, which includes checking their Facebook profile or taking a nap, if what you're offering isn't the most compelling option, they won't come. So by finding out what your attendees need to hear so that they can grow because they want to make more money or be able to use your product better, what can we do to deliver content that is going to be the most important thing that you can hear or learn that day? Then I know where to start. And the truth is, when you get that information, that's how you build your content. We tend to, as executives, I'm the CEO, I know what I'm going to say at this meeting because I'm the CEO, I'm very important. I'm the marketing CMO, I'm going to talk about my thing. Well, what you want to say and what your audience needs to hear aren't necessarily the same things. So we bring these people to a room and we talk at them. We say, I've just spent, 4 hours putting together this PowerPoint deck and I worked on my presentation, and these guys were checking their Facebook status. They are so ungrateful. And the people in the room are saying, how many times are you going to tell me this? When are you going to get to the stuff I need to hear? These meetings are a waste of time. And then the planner hears the executives say, these are an incredible waste of time. Nothing changes. The attendees say, this is a ridiculous waste of time. I should have stayed home. The planner is exhausted and has worked their tail off and the logistics went flawlessly and everybody's angry. And then we do it again. So it's so simple, but we're all doing it wrong. And it's not like you have to figure it out. Hey, Phil, what's the most important thing that I can teach you at the next conference? And then here's a concept. Ask someone their opinion. They will give it to you, and then do something with the information. It's not magic. It's strategic.
Oh, that is magic, though, because when we listen and deliver on what people ask for, even though it's right in front of our face, it makes the magic happen. So I would say that's super magical. So why does more of this not happen? I mean, do you think it's just people don't realize that there's more that they could do, or what's the real cause of this?
I think that there are a few, and the noise you hear probably in the background is my dog complaining that I'm not paying attention to him, so we're going to ignore him. I think that it's a couple of things. I don't know if you've ever heard the phrase, I'm too busy to get any work done.
Sure.
We are churning and burning and so busy, and the thought of us doing anything else is ridiculous. We are already in a vicious cycle where executives do not necessarily respect us. Every time we show up, it's because, you haven't gotten back to me. I need this contract. I need a budget. And we are now nagging and whining because we are ignored and because they make our lives difficult. So it's not like we have cachet with the executives. We don't know because we're so busy doing what we're doing. It just has never occurred to most people that this exists, because you just said to me, my God, that's magic. Magic conceptually is something that dazzles you, which means it's never occurred to you before. So common sense isn't always common, and it is going to take extra work to do this. And it is going to take some time to now convince executives to do this. It's a lot of work initially, but it's also, we often fall into the trap of when we are lucky enough to get a budget approved for a new hire. It's like, now I have to interview the person and find the person and I have to train the person. I'd rather just do it myself because I don't have time to fix the problem. And I think that some of the folks who read this book are going to say, I'm too busy to fix the problem. And my thought is, you have two arms. You can hug your problem or you can push your problem away. So choose to do whatever. You can hug it or you can get rid of it, but here's your ability to get rid of it. But I think that we just haven't been taught that. We're too busy to think about it. And we have never been we don't have the vocabulary to articulate it. And a lot of us are frustrated, but we don't know why. And it hasn't occurred to us that what we're doing is wrong because we're doing it the best we can, but we're not doing it strategically. And that's all it is.
Wow.
You work less strategically. You work faster strategically, because I'm not begging an executive to sign a contract. They're not going to miss deadlines. They don't. And I promise you that planners who are listening to this will raise their hand and say, happened to me, is you plan a meeting, usually an incentive, and you're halfway through, and usually it's the CEO's admin who reaches out to you and says, yeah, Mr. So-and-so has decided we're not going to do the event in Maui because his wife wants to go to Kona, so we need to switch locations. And the executive's wife's lack of desire to go to the intended location causes the entire meeting. You have to blow everything up and start over. Like, how is that happening? And one, it's because the executive doesn't mention it because it's not important to him. And then when he does, and she says, let's change locations, they have so little respect for the process or understanding of what it takes. He's like, oh yeah, it's just a word, Kona, Maui, no big deal. So
wow.
It's this pervasive ignorance, and ignorance is not a willing lack of knowledge. It is a lack of knowledge. So ignorance, not in a bad way. It's just, we have not, as planners, been educated and cannot articulate. If you cancel the sales meeting, you may save $500,000, but let me show you why canceling the sales meeting is going to cost you over $1 million. And most of us don't have the ability to articulate that or know how those metrics are created. This book will tell you that. So when someone comes to us and says, we're going to cancel the incentive trip, we stand there saying, please don't fire me, please don't fire me, please don't fire me. Instead of, it's interesting that you would say that. May I share with you that, the average sales meeting is $250,000. If we save that $250,000 based on what an incentive trip's goals are and what it achieves, it's actually probably going to cost us at least $500,000 in revenue. It's going to increase turnover. It's going to increase absenteeism, decrease employee morale. So we will save $250,000, but I would posit that over the course of the year, we will lose twice that much. That's it. Most people don't know how to articulate that. So the book talks about giving us a common voice, a common vocabulary, a common goal, and a common understanding and appreciation for what strategic events do, and why you can't just call yourself a strategic planner. That doesn't change anything. So it's a title that has to be understood and earned.
Wow. That blows my mind, Christy. That's totally different. I mean, because right now I'm the VP of programs at our NSA Central Florida chapter, and basically, I certainly try to align that, but nobody's given me goals, so I've set my own for what we're trying to learn, what we're trying to share with people, and then every meeting I try to grow that, right? Because the goal is to increase everybody's revenue, to increase their increase their share of the pie so that they can speak more, earn more money, all that good stuff. But it's so interesting that you say that, because we had one meeting that we had to move the dates, that we had a choice of either move the dates and possibly get less people, but we realized that we have a replay that we can give people so that they can still use that to grow their business and decided that would be better, even if, we get a little less attendance. So that's really interesting that you would say that.
And one of the things you might find is if one of the goals for NSA, for instance, is we need to increase our membership base by 25% this year, and you don't know that, and you're thinking it's still all about making money, you may say, I'm going to raise the registration fee by $50 because based on how many attendees we have, we'll make X amount of dollars. Where the truth is, if you knew that they were actually looking to increase the number of members they had, which will translate to more dollars, you may decrease registration for new people or let new people go free for a day because they're looking to get bodies in the room so that it's a loss leader and then they'll join. And you went in completely the opposite direction because it's always about making money, but there are different ways to do it. So by you saying you make your own goals, you may work your heart out. And at the end, they say to you, yeah, Phil, we're not going to have you do it next year. You didn't do a good job. You did a great job, but they didn't tell you what direction to go in. So you marched and hit a target, but they were on the other side of the field. And if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. So, and what's interesting is if you talk to the key executives at an NSA, oftentimes, if you ask the 3 key stakeholders, what is your goal? They have 3 different answers. So how can I please the executives if the executives are not aligned? And the CEO will often say, I can speak for everyone. I'm the CEO. I can tell you why we're having the sales meeting. And you say, you know what? I respect that. I'd like for everyone to just write it down. Well, why can't we tell you? Because people self-censor. So everybody's going to write it down. I'm going to give you all the same piece of paper. And then I read them back and I say, okay, one of us wants to increase sales. One of us wants to launch a new website. One of us wants to reduce spend. Anybody want to talk to each other about this? Because you guys don't know what the hell you're doing. And then you're mad at me. So here's 3 different directions. Go. Okay. So you start with a broken premise and then everybody says events are a waste of time and money. Yep, they are. They don't have to be. And it's not hard. You just have to ask the questions. It's data.
Wow. That's awesome. So someone asked when the book is coming out. So just so you know, folks, the book will be out in November. It'll be on Amazon. I just want to let you know because that question was asked, and I'll make sure we come back and we share a link, and I'll share it again later. But Christy, you talked about the for-profit. Lauren Hoppel asks a question. She says, so what is your take on applying this philosophy to nonprofits, to fundraising settings? Is it different? Is it the same? What talk to us about that?
So a lot of the principles are the same. Now, there are differences when you have an external audience, which means you cannot control who's coming. So it's open to the public versus an internal audience. It's my sales team or my employees. They have to come. We're not-for-profits, fundraisers, external audiences. This is even more important because I know for a sales meeting, my attendees are going to come. They may not learn anything, but they're going to be there. For fundraiser, where you're putting your money on the line and hoping that you get enough people to not just break even, but make money, this is even more important. So to find out, are we looking to make $100,000? Okay, so if we're doing that and we rent, I'm from New York, so Cipriani's, it's going to cost us this. Well, let's ask our donor list and our prospects, do you want to go to a gala? Do you want to do a food truck event? Do you want to do a no-show ball, which some people during fundraising season would rather just write a check for $500 to what's called a no-show ball. And I'm going to write you the money just so I can stay home because I just don't want to get dressed again. So you ask your donor base, what would you like to do? And sometimes I know when I get things from charities that I donate to and they're offering to send me a free t-shirt or a cup or a mug. Stop. Don't send me. I don't want you to send me stuff. I'm going to give you $500 a year. Take me off your list, save the stamp, save the time, save the money. You're going to get $500. So as a fundraiser, if you talk to your donor base and find out how do you want to be solicited to, how can we most effectively communicate with you? What do you want to participate in? How can we be better stewards of your money? The other thing is, so I work for an organization that helps children in Rwanda. If they sent me, so I went to their gala and I said to them, because I'm on the planning committee, of course, if you were to say to me, here's a package for $500, we're going to earmark your $500 to buy books for the library. That lights me up. Now, the $500 could have been just donate $500, but when they said this is going to go for books, I absolutely want to donate books. The person who's sitting next to me, who's a science teacher, says $500 to go for the science lab, and we're going to buy new microscopes. You've connected with your audience. What's important to them? When we donate, you have to answer the question, what's in it for me? Why should you give me your money? And it may not just be, instead of just saying to them, would you like to donate? When you build a relationship with your donors and you understand what's important to them, some of them may, just because you say, you know what, we're doing it. I notice, Christy, you're an author, and the village is looking to expand the library. So you adapt your talk track to the person, because here's the other thing. It's not about me. I want your money. I work for this not-for-profit. But if I want your money, it can't be about me. It has to be about you and what's in it for you to give me the money. So I would say for fundraisers, know your audience and don't just come to them with your agenda, because they don't care about you. They care about the feeling they're going to get when they give to you. So you coming to me saying, we need a new building because we need a gym. I can't bounce a basketball. I can barely walk and chew gum. The gym doesn't motivate me. I'm interested, find out what I'm interested in, target to me. When you're doing a fundraiser, if you do a gala every year, maybe people don't want to do the gala. Ask them. And for external audiences, it's ask them what they want. And then when you're done, post-show surveys shouldn't be report cards for planners. How was the food? How was the venue? Nobody cares. Like, that's not going to help you. It's, was this meaningful? Will this change your giving behavior? Does this change your impression of XYZ? What else can we share with you? Where did we miss? What questions did you leave not having answered? What did you learn that you didn't know before? So find out more about their behavior and their habits, and how their habits will change afterwards, and how do you want their habits to, what do you want them feeling, thinking, saying, and doing when they leave, and measure whether or not that happened. Build the event around, I want people leaving looking to tell 5 other people about the charity, looking to give more money, looking to join a committee. Build your event around that message, because you may want different things at different times of the year. So it doesn't change because it's fundraising. It's more important when it's fundraising or external events than internal events too, but I can control who comes to my internal events. You can't with an external event or a fundraiser. So it's even more important for them.
Yeah.
And they don't have money to waste.
Yeah. Well, or time, right? I mean, a lot of these big donors, they're big donors other places. So if we don't align with their goals instead of our needs, we're going to lose. I mean, that's so important. So I'm curious, is there a sample survey that we should be asking in the book, Christy, or do you have a sample survey that you can share so that we can have that?
What I've done is created a resource library, and throughout the book it says to learn how to work with speakers, to learn how to hire production companies. So there's, I think as of this morning, there were 18 free resources and giveaways. On my website, there are already hundreds of articles, templates, giveaways. My goal is to give away as much as I can. I've been in this industry a long time and it's been good to me. What's in it for me is I want to affect change and leave the industry that's been so good to me better than I found it. So I give as much as possible away, and the book has a ton of templates and giveaways that my team had said to me, why would you give them this for free? You know what? It's me sharing with you isn't taking money out of my pocket. It's putting money into yours, and that makes me blessed.
That's awesome. That is one of the most wonderful things about you, is that you share what you know so freely and so wonderfully. I mean, that the book is packed with stuff, folks. I know it's not coming out till November. I've got a PDF copy and it blows my brains. It's really good. There's so much there and it's so good. So Christy, give us one more nugget that we need to really make sure we got to align with the goals. We understand that. We got to think about what's in it for them, of course, really important. But what's one more thing that if people knew, they might have an even more successful event?
It's a fantastic question. I think one of the things that planners don't pay attention to, and that would cause an event to be tremendously more successful, is thinking about content. We tend to avoid a ballroom. If it lights up or plugs in, we avoid it. And the content is the reason the meeting is happening. People come to events for 2 reasons, for networking and for education. People will not go to an event if the education is not worthwhile. So the networking follows the education. When you ask people what they want and they tell you, you build your content around those things. What you also have to do then is take all your speakers and look at their slides. You need to get them in advance and look at them like chapters in a book and decide who goes first based on what their content says and tell a story, as opposed to Phil is Christy's boss, so Phil has to go first. Well, Phil's content should follow Christy's because I'm the setup, and then you talk about how important, then. So people don't pay enough attention to the content and ever look at it from a strategic 25,000-foot view and say, the marketing person has 25% of their content the CEO talks about. So that 25% of time we're wasting and could be using doing something else. So we need to make a concerted effort to pay more attention to the content. Because I am a brilliant CFO or CEO, that does not make me a brilliant speaker, and it doesn't make what I want to say relevant to the audience. So being a better steward of content and managing content, which we don't do, and staying in the ballroom and having someone dedicated to managing the ballroom makes your event much more successful. Because if the food comes out late, that's okay. People are coming to change behavior. We are influencing behavior. That happens in the ballroom, that happens with the content, that doesn't happen with logistics. So yeah, that would be my last tip.
Awesome. So focus on the content, make sure the content's aligned, be strategic in how you look at that content so that you have a setup and a person to go deeper on that, and don't repeat content unless it has to be repeated, right? Like some stuff has to be driven in around the vision, the values, the goals, stuff like that. But yeah, don't have your CFO talking about marketing, right?
And you know what? Can I give you one more really quick?
Absolutely.
When you think about how many times you'll see a commercial, because marketers know they need to repeat a message over and over and over and over again. And it used to be the rule of 7, that you needed to touch someone with a message 7 times before they would buy your product. If you think about the disparity between an internal audience and an external audience, so think about Burger King wants me to try their new sweet potato fries. They're going to market to me and market to me and market to me. When we have a sales meeting, we hire a keynote speaker who speaks for 45 minutes and then leaves. And we say, but why didn't anybody's behavior change? We brought in Tony Robbins. We spent $150,000 on Tony Robbins. Nobody's behavior changed. Marketing is the same internally. It has to follow the same fundamental rules as external marketing. But when we external market, we look at it in value repetition. Internal marketing, we look at it as one and done. I taught you that at the sales meeting. Learn it. You're done. So we need to respect how people's behavior is influenced by marketing internally with as much respect as we look at it externally. So we'll spend $50 million on advertising, and we do one sales conference for $500,000, and we say, but I taught everybody that at the sales meeting. Why didn't they learn? Well, why wouldn't you just run one ad or one TV commercial? It's the same philosophy, but there's a profound disconnect with how we treat the way internal audiences learn and the way external audiences learn. And it's the same people, because the same person who's not getting the message more than once is the same person Burger King is marketing to, who needs to hear it 7 times. There's nothing magic about the fact that I work for you. So that's the other huge nugget that almost universally, as far as I know, I mean, I don't know everything, but it's a one and done internally. And then we wonder why, I hired Tony Robbins. He was a total waste of money because nobody's changed. That's not fair. That's not fair.
Well, yep. So repeat those messages, make sure internal and external marketing is aligned, that we repeat those key messages. Yep. So really good stuff. So folks, I hope you got some great nuggets from Christy. She's got so much to share. This book is fantastic. It's one of those books where you pick up and then you put in your backpack and you make sure every time you've got an event that you make sure you line this up, because it's that good. It's titled The Strategic Planning Guide for Meeting Professionals, Adopting a Strategic Approach to Events That Will Ignite Your Career, Transform Your Company, and Elevate the Meeting Industry. It's going to be available in November. If you want goodness from Christy right now, you go to strategic.events. That's strategic.events, and that gets you right there. I'm going to pop a link down below in there so that you can see that. But Christy, you are so wonderful. I'm so grateful to you today, my friend. Thank you so much for sharing your goodness. And I hope everybody buys this book because they totally need it.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.
My pleasure. See you later. So hope you